How much I spent on all of the new Bloodlines this year. It was a lot. Dang, that is so heavy. That's crazy. Such a great summer, fresh from the farm snack. Is Cricket pregnant? Well,
we were young and we were free and running, never bothered about what could be coming. Every day we danced and life was smiling. We were young and drunk in love.
how you doing, bud?
Yeah, how are you doing?
Probably pretty sore.
A little lethargic.
Yeah. Here, let's give him his medicine.
Okay. Wagging his tail. He's happy.
Yeah, he's okay. He does have some good drugs in him, but we need to add
More drugs.
more drugs. Let's see if he'll take them. Hey, look, do you want some of these? I've got, I think, just one.
He's like the biggest eater in the world, so
Here,
he'll probably eat it.
Open your mouth. I don't want it to fall out into the grass. Eat it. There you go. There's the crunch. See, that's nummy medicine.
You want some? You can have any.
Okay, now you gotta like hold his front leg so I can spray this all over his. Okay. Oh, there we go. This is the keep flies away spray. Let me go to the back side too. Dang, it's so heavy. That's crazy. Alright, my vet said to use this stuff that is the only fly spray to be able to be sprayed on wounds. So,
He likes it.
yeah. You doing okay? Yeah. You're good. You're good.
Still a chunky monkey.
Yeah. Last week, Radar had a vasectomy. We did this because we want Radar to not be able to breed our does and yet develop bucky behavior so he can help us determine which doe is in heat. We used our trusty vet, Dr. Burrows at Arizona Mobile Vet, and they are so awesome. We've been using them for years. If you live in the area, you should totally check them out. So essentially what we created with Radar is a teaser buck, although we're not necessarily going to use him for that reason. Teaser bucks can help bring does into heat, and maybe that will be a good thing, but mostly we're hoping that he'll be a chill, little short king that lives with the herd from about August to October, and will help us pinpoint which doe is coming into heat so we can either do artificial insemination or breed with one of our bucks that we have here. Now, he made sure and took a large portion of the vas deferens out, so while you hear sometimes of vasectomies re-healing and reconnecting, there's zero chance of this. So now we just have to wait for him to heal. Okay, we officially have started the 6-week countdown until Radar can be put out with the ladies. So right now he's healing, and then in 6 weeks we'll check. I think I'm gonna make Kevin do it.
Okay.
He can check and make sure that Radar is clear and that there's no actual sperm moving along. And then all will be good. Radar told Romeo all about it, so
Yeah.
Romeo's afraid of us now. Aren't ya? Scary. We had a bunch of rain last night. And I don't think I am strong enough. Oh. That's why I have Kevin do stuff like that. Alright, welcome to today's video where I'm gonna go over how much I spent on all of the new Bloodlines this year. It was a lot. So the world of raising goats and how expensive everything will sort of blow your mind. So every year there's a spotlight sale that happens in the registered goat world, and the highest sold goat was a buckling from Wolvavan that sold for $26,000. And it's funny because that buck is actually related. We've got some of those really nice lines already in our herd, which I'm excited about. I think the highest sold buck though ever in history was $30,000. So these animals are expensive. They're pricey for sure. And I view this whole raising goats thing as a hobby. I don't think of it as like a for-profit thing. So every year the kids are born, I always think to myself, all the profit that I make off the kids is going to go towards the care of the goats throughout the year. So I'm not necessarily looking to pocket that money, it's more to just put that towards the care of the goats. So this year, with all of our babies that were born, I think we had 20 kids that were born total. I made $5,300 on the sale of all of those kids. That seems like a lot, but that about covers like the hay for the year. But this year, or the last couple years, I've decided to use that money instead to go towards, or justify going towards reservations for kids. So I figure, okay, I've got like $5,300 that I could spend, although I don't usually spend that much. So here's what I spent this year on the kids that we brought, the new bloodlines that we brought to the farm. Coco was actually an interesting situation where I was gifted her as a kid, and then I just had to pay the transport fee. So Channel Homestead gifted me her, and I had to pay about $1,000 actually to get her transported all the way from Massachusetts to Arizona. Oh, you got in here. That's really nice. Okay, come in here. So that was a good deal because I only had to spend $1,000, although that is kind of pricey. Normally it's about $500 to do flights, but we couldn't do flights for her because she was too young and it was a whole thing. Kyla has one teat that's like slightly bigger than the other one. It's funny. I've tested her for mastitis and done all these things, and I don't know, I think it's just a little trait. It's very slight, but it's there. So Coco was about $1,000 in paying for the transport fees, and then I spent $1,000 on Woody, but it ended up just being that his dam didn't have as good of attachments as I thought that she did. She has a lot of other traits that are really nice, and she comes from a really good line, so I thought that maybe I could give on that a little bit, and I sort of changed my mind. And that wasn't the breeder's fault. She was actually trying to convince me to purchase another buck. I talked with the breeder and she agreed that maybe we should switch and wait till next year. So we decided instead for next year to get a buckling from her from a little bit different line. So even though I spent $1,000 on him, we're gonna go ahead and get him replaced next year, so it's not a big deal. So I brought two new doelings, two new bloodlines this year, and one was from Amore's farm. I really wanted this doeling because she's out of a buck that sold, well, I don't remember exact price, but he sold for a lot, and he's really promising. So she's out of that buck, and also out of a really nice doe. So I just wanted to bring those new bloodlines, so I kind of jumped on the opportunity and I spent $1,600 on her. And then for Lulu, she had already earned a reserve champion and has a really nice dam and sire, so I also spent $1,600 on her, bringing my total this year of new bloodlines to $5,200. So I pretty much broke even with what I got from the profit off of selling the kids. So this year's hay is gonna have to be on me. And I think what I'm gonna do is, now that I have a lot of different bloodlines to choose from, I've got the Tilly and the Daphne line, which I'm hoping to get a doeling out of each one of them through the sire Pokey. Then I've got River and Twyla lines. I've got Violet, who's really nice. And then I've got the new doelings, Coco, Frankie, and Lulu. So lots of new bloodlines and lots of options. So next year, I'm actually not going to reserve and buy new bloodlines, and I'm also not going to sell a lot. So I'm going to keep the amount of kids that I sell very, very low, and instead I'm just going to keep a lot of the kids that I've produced on the farm. I think I've got enough bloodlines to play with now. Some that are really, really nice that I've had for a long time, and some new ones that I don't know what they're going to be like. So next year there's not going to be as much of selling and buying. It's just going to be keeping. And it can be really, really tempting to want to make a profit off your goats and be excited about how much money you're making, but I've always viewed this as just a hobby because I know I'm not going to do this as a full-time job where I'm going to have a dairy and sell all these goats and make all this money every year to live off of, like an actual income. Instead, I'm going to view it as a hobby and view it as like somebody that would have, I don't know, there's a million hobbies out there like horses or boats or motorbike racing. And in all those things, they're really expensive. You have a lot of overhead costs that are surprising to people who aren't in the hobby itself. Hi. It is kind of scary to spend so much money on goats because sometimes the bloodlines, it's really kind of a gamble. You make your best guess on what you think is gonna look good and fresh and good, but sometimes you have ones that just don't work out. Genetics are not a sure thing, so it's a big risk to purchase new goats and new bloodlines. But I'm always hopeful, and it's an addiction. It is. If you have goats, you know what I'm talking about. Well guys, Noodle is officially back, aren't ya? And Doodle's around here too, but she comes out at night, he kind of comes over in the morning. So I know you're probably wondering how I'm going to be able to retain a bunch of kids next year, and really I'm kind of betting on that some of these young ones that I have here won't freshen like I want them to, and I may have to move them along. And I am planning on retiring Daphne and then Cricket, so that'll make room for more goats. Look how nice these girls are. We can see from the camera. This little batch here is so nice. We've got Lulu, Coco, Rose, Frankie, and Bella. Now Rose and Bella are half siblings. They look just like their dams and body type, so I'm interested to see what Pokey contributed. I think he helped her be a little bit longer than Twyla, and I'm hoping that he fixed teat placement, but you know, we'll really only be able to see that in the spring, so we gotta wait a little bit. Gotta be patient. So these three are my new bloodlines, and those two are the ones that I kept this year. And are they too big now for bottles? Yes, definitely. But I have a lot of extra milk, and so I decided, you know, I'm just gonna keep growing them out and see if I can get them to be nice and big and healthy. A little extra milk never hurt anybody. And I want these girls to grow big and strong. She's gonna knock that over. Look at that. You almost got it? So that I can breed them later in the fall. Well, even though these babies, these big babies, are drinking almost all the milk, I have just enough to make a little batch of goat cheese this morning. So I'll start by lightly pasteurizing the milk, which means just bringing it to 165 for about 30 seconds or so. Then I gotta cool it down because before I can add the culture that makes goat cheese, it needs to be brought down to 86 degrees. And once we hit that, I'm just gonna sprinkle on a little bit of this Chev culture, or I've heard it pronounced Chev or Chevre. I think it's Chev. It's a French name for goat cheese. But we add this culture, we let it sit a little bit, then we mix it in, and if you can believe it, we cover it and we leave this on the counter for about 8 to 12 hours, depending on how sharp tasting you like your goat cheese. It sort of works like yogurt, where that culture multiplies and spreads throughout the goat milk and it solidifies. Got a little bit of the curds, a little bit of the whey, and that's why we're gonna put it in this mesh bag and we're going to strain it because I want my goat cheese a little bit thicker, so we're gonna get some of that whey off. So I'll hang it for a few hours, let it drain, but guys, let me show you the best snack to make with goat cheese. I have a couple figs from the front yard, and I'll just lightly salt this goat cheese. That's all I'm gonna do to it, is just salt it. And then we'll add a little dollop to each little tiny fig, along with a drizzle of honey and one little walnut. Oh, this is perfect. I love it. Such a great summer, fresh from the farm snack. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. Is Cricket pregnant? Well, so Lydia and I tried to ultrasound her last night, and it's only 28 days. So I think it's early. I think I actually need to not ultrasound so early, even though I want to find out, just like see if I can see little bubbles. Some does you can see really early and some you can't. So we think that we saw something, but we're not sure. So we're gonna do like the official ultrasound around maybe 35 days, which will be middle of next week. So we'll put that in next week's video for you guys. In the meantime, if you want to watch a video that we did about a year ago on how much we spent on our goats for an entire year, you can watch that here.